Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. This is a show where we talk about Boston sports. We talk about the Boston Celtics, Boston Bruins, Boston Red Sox, New England Patriots. I'm your host, Frank. My other co-host is Steve. He goes by Negative Ned. And I am Swami Jr. this week because I had a lot of right answers in my picks this week. Steve, how you doing? How's everything?
I'm hanging in there. How you doing, Frank?
I'm all right. I'm all right. So I want to start talking this week. We have the Celtics, we have the Bruins, we have the Red Sox, we have the New England Patriots. Let's get the Red Sox out of the way because at the end of the day, they've got some stuff that they was doing. It gives us some time to get some momentum going to this show, and we can get the whole ball rolling. And Steve, I'm gonna give you the floor for a second so you can tell everybody what the biggest headline of the week since the last time we were on the air the Boston Red Sox was what, Steve? Because I saw it, so I don't want to steal your thunder.
As far as the Red Sox themselves, or as far as Major League Baseball in general?
Red Sox themselves. We'll talk about Major League Baseball in a second.
The Red Sox themselves.
I thought you was.
Well,
I'm
we
sorry.
talked about the trade they made last week, and
Yes,
now there's just a bunch of buzz about them being in on Alex Bregman or not.
that's
And
what I
Luis
was name I was
Castillo,
going
there
to.
was a
Yeah.
trade that was they wanted to work out a trade for Tristan Casas with Seattle, and they declined the trade because they don't want him.
Yeah. And the other news I would have to throw up there too is that there's been talks a lot about moving Rafael Devers to from third base to DH. That's a big news item too, because obviously he's a great hitter, but he's pretty to be completely blunt because we are straight shooters. He's a lousy third baseman. You know what I mean? He's not a good third baseman. He was when he first came in the league. I don't know why his numbers are declining and his defense is declining, but
His
as a
defense
hitter.
was actually better last year, believe it or not.
Yeah, but overall, he's better as hitter than he is anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the Red Sox are talking to you can say Alex Bergman and a couple of people that in talks with. But here's my thing is, and we've been talking about this a lot, Steve. You and I have been having conversations and text messages about this, and I firmly believe this. Everything the Red Sox do, until they make a major splash or two or three to make them major contenders, I think it's a mirage. You know what I mean? I don't think there's anything there. I don't think there's any meat there. I think they do just enough to make sure they're going to sell some tickets. They do just enough to make sure they can get fan interest to watch it on television. Just enough so when they travel, some people, because the Red Sox Nation is not literally in Boston. Red Sox Nation literally is nation. There are Red Sox fans everywhere. You know what I mean? And because they get piece of ticket sales wherever they travel, I think that's what the whole big thing is, Steve. I firmly believe the Red Sox do just enough to make sure they move the needle. That's what I think they do. I think they're done for the entire year. This is what I think. And before I didn't think this, but now I just think so because winter meetings are almost over. Haven't heard anything. Usually, winter meetings, you hear a lot of hot stove items the Red Sox are mixed in. So, Steve, tell me, am I right, wrong, in your opinion,
Oh no,
right or
you're
wrong?
right. That's why everybody's calling them the interest kings. They're interested in this guy. They're interested in that guy.
Oh, I didn't hear that one before. That's a good one. I like that one.
Everybody's
Interesting.
been calling them that for probably the last. They were doing it last year too because
Yeah.
they were
Mm-hmm.
in on this guy and in on that guy, and they signed nobody. And I think that they made that one trade for a pitcher, and now they think that again, we've talked about this. They think everybody here is stupid.
Yeah.
Uh, we know baseball. I just think that there's no interest from John Henry because of all the other stuff he's got going on. Not to circle on that, but look, and there's some infighting with
Yep.
regards to Bregman because Alex Cora wants him and Sam Kennedy wants him, but Breslow does not.
Yep.
And so now they're butting heads over it. And so something that should be as simple as pie to get this guy in here, and you can't do it. And I agree with you. It's a mirage. It's all smoke and mirrors. They're doing it just to be like, oh, the Red Sox are doing something. Yay, let's go to the game again. Like, I think that it's all BS. And you, me, and everybody else have said it all along. No one's going to believe it until they actually spend some more money and put some pieces on this team for them to be more successful. They're not done. Even if they get Bregman, they still need another frontline starter.
Yeah. They sure do.
And Corbin Burns is out there, and there's some links to him. But I think they were really trying to work out something with Seattle so they could get another guy that's young and controllable. I don't think they want to spend money on free agent pitchers. I think that Chris Sale and David Price, I think those signings, because they got burned, John Henry doesn't want to go that route again. And so, on one hand, I kind of don't blame them, but on the other hand, everybody else is signing these guys. Remember last year, I wanted the Red Sox to get the dude from the Mets that went to the Texas Rangers and he blew out his arm, but you still have to go after him. He might come back this year and help him. They re-signed. There's a team they re-signed Eovaldi. So if you can get that guy back, and the name is escaping me right now, but they're going to have frontline guys, and the Red Sox are still going to have Flotsam and Jetsam and Ocean State job lot bums. They just traded for another bum. Yeah. They just traded Exxon Valdez for some bum.
I forgot about that.
Pittsburgh. Yeah. So this is what they're doing. They're making these Mickey Mouse minor moves, and they're just praying that the stuff is going to pan out and that people are going to get excited, and it's not going to work.
Well, last time they were in the mix and they got some big name pitchers. They got David Price, they got Chris Sale. Yeah, the contract ended up burning out and didn't work in their favor. But in the beginning, it did. They got a World Series out of that.
I was going to say they got a World Series out of it. So to me, it worked. If you would ask any Red Sox fan, if you signed a pitcher for 5 years and they got one World Series out of it, would you take it? Everybody would say yes. Yeah. Everybody. There's nobody here that would say, sign Chris Sale to 5 years, $145 million, and you can only get one World Series out of it. Yeah. Would you take it? Yeah, we would. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, a lot of ownerships and a lot of organizations all across the league would do that. One World Series every 5 years. Who wouldn't do that? You know what I mean? Like that. You're not guaranteed to, when you get these huge contracts, you're not guaranteed to even go to the World Series. Let's ask the New York Yankees that. Look at all the contract heavy that they are. You know what I mean? They're sitting top heavy, and they're not guaranteed that. So here's
Listen, they made a trade and got Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, right. Here's the thing, Steve. If they end up getting some no name or some mediocre couple of players, and they put it together and they win the World Series with these mediocre players, it's going to change the way the Red Sox operate for 20, 30 years until ownership till the ownership sells. You do realize that, right? See, if they end up putting together this thing and they end up getting to the World Series.
Listen, I said this to the guys at work. The worst thing that could have possibly happened this year is for the Detroit Tigers to make the World Series with an $18 million payroll. That would have justified the Red Sox for signing all these bums. So I'm glad they didn't make it all the way. But they made it further than the Red Sox. And Tampa Bay's been making it further than the Red Sox without spending a boatload of dough. So they're using those models and saying, oh, well, they're not spending $300 million, and the Yankees are, and they're not making it, and we are, and this and that. And, every team is different. The market's different. Where you play is different. And so they shouldn't be using that for a model, but it's because the owner isn't as invested as he was when he first bought the team. When he first bought the team, remember, the goal was to beat the evil empire. Now it's just to, keep the portfolio afloat while I go after the Las Vegas NBA team that's going to come. I think that's his next thing. He's waiting for an NBA team. And he's not great. History. Yeah. Well, think about this. We talked about this before too. He's got the Pittsburgh Penguins. Do you think they're spending any money?
Yeah,
no,
they're not.
Right? He's got Liverpool or whatever the soccer team is over there. They've been cutting back. The coach left, didn't want to stay because they're not spending any money. So look, it's not just here. He's got his hands in a couple too many things, and now, it's just all about staying afloat. Like you said, it's about filling the ballpark. He's using Jeremy Jacobs' model of fill the ballpark and hopefully get at least one round in the playoffs, because that's all I need to get an extra game or two. Right. And I'm satisfied. And that's what Jeremy Jacobs has done for 50 years. They've won one cup in 50-something years. So no change there. And I wish, we have a wish list. All the fans around here want them to sign another pitcher. We want them to get Bregman. We want them to get, Teoscar Hernandez or whoever. We want them to, add 2 bats and add 2 pitches. And they're not going to do it.
The funny thing is now I sit back and I can see all of the things that was bothering Theo when he was, when he was here. I don't even have to imagine it. I can almost hear it now. I can hear him going up to the front office, trying to get, certain players, having conversations with ownership after they won a couple of World Series, and he's trying to do certain things, and ownership kicking back. And then you sit there and say, all the aggravation and things like that. Because for the life of me, when it happened, I could not see why Theo, who was born and raised in Brookline, forever Red Sox fan, got his dream job and want to leave. You know what I mean? Because to me, I don't think it was about money. Because I think he was already rich. He got the contract he wanted. I don't think it was about money. But now, sitting back now, years later, here we are. The Red Sox won a couple of World Series. They were in the mix for a couple of more. And their payroll has been scaling less and less and less every year. Ownership has absolutely no interest. They have just enough interest to keep the fans coming in. Now I see why he wanted to leave. A couple other players wanted to leave. A couple other coaches were dying to get out of here, and they weren't kicking against it at all. They were gone. I just see it all now. Last word, Steve, on the Red Sox.
It's infuriating, to say the least. I mean, listen, I don't go to the games anymore because it's too expensive. Right. And even if they signed a whole slew of guys, I probably still wouldn't go. But I'm watching them. I watched pretty much almost every single game I could. Except for the stupid streaming crap, because I want to see what they can do, and obviously for the show. But I mean, I'm watching who they're signing, who's playing second base, who's making all these stupid errors, what kind of bullpen do they have? Like, they're not building the team correctly to actually build a winner. They're just doing it with Ocean State job lot bums, and it's very frustrating. It's pissing me off, and I don't know how people go to the games.
How? Why?
Well, we know why in the summertime is because it's a tourist attraction, right?
Yeah.
The other part of the why is what is so exciting about them when they don't have anybody. That's what's got me.
Yeah, honestly,
so to answer your question.
Yeah, it's just a trip to go to the baseball game. Wouldn't you say, Steve? It's just a trip to go to the game. It's not.
It's nice out. It's a nice day. It's something to do. Get out of the house and go sit. And to be honest with you, most of the people probably half-ass watch it because they watch their phone half the game.
Very, very, very true. Biggest statement you said so far this show. I think a lot of people do that. I think they sit there, watch the game, and watch their phone. Because when last time I went there, I went to I didn't go last season. I went the season before, and I looked around, and they were terrible that year too. I looked around, and majority of people were on their phones. I couldn't believe how many people were watching their phones. Couldn't believe it. But yeah, I think
there's nothing to watch when you're at the ballpark. That's why they're not giving them any reason to pay attention to them instead of their
100%. 100%. All right, let's move this conversation on because I want to shorten it so we can talk a little bit longer about the Patriots and get some of these things out of the way. Steve, I have a confession, full-blown confession. I did not watch the Patriots live. I purposely did not do that because I just knew I was going to get upset. I watched the several recaps actually, and I found my blood pressure was doing much better when I versus rewatching the game live because I knew I'd get frustrated, and I didn't know all the situations as I saw the plays. That way, because I'm finding I'm getting angrier. This is going to sound crazy to some people, but I find out I get angrier when I see the situation and they do B when it clearly states for them to do A. You know what I mean? Like it's situational football. It drives me nuts.
So let me cut you off for half a second. Anybody that knows me that pays attention to this podcast or anybody that just knows me in general, back in the day, I would literally throw things at my TV watching Bruins games. That's how angry I would get. So I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's 100%.
I was throwing things. I was throwing food, bags, whatever.
Yeah, that's where I am.
I was mad. I was an angry Bruins fan back in the day.
Yeah, so you completely understand.
I do.
I'm an angry Patriots fan. And I'm saying that to say they played the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, the Cardinals beat them. I looked at the recap of the numbers. They didn't just beat them; they got spanked. Statistically, it just was a frustrating game. And we talked 3 weeks ago. We talked if the Patriots get spanked the last 3 or 4 games, will the Patriots consider firing Jared Mayo? We had that as a poll topic question. People are talking about it on the air all the time. I think as the games go along, as the weeks are going along, people are talking about it more and more. This week they got the Bills coming, and the Bills looked phenomenal. Like I watched the Bills play Detroit. The Bills looked phenomenal. They kept it neck and neck, and I picked the Bills to win because I saw them play the week before. I was like, Detroit is going to be very good. I said, but because the way that the Bills are playing, I think the Bills are going to be a very hard out. And the Bills right now are fighting for playoff position. So when the Patriots come in there, the Bills can't afford to lose because they don't want to drop down a game. You know what I mean? Again, it's playoff positioning. It's seeding. Right now, we all know that before you used to have the first top 2 teams get the bye week. You know what I mean? The Bills know now since Patrick Mahomes is injured, there's a chance that he could obviously not play, or he could play sporadically. And because he's playing sporadically, the Bills know that if they win, they could get that top seed, and then they can get that bye week, that coveted bye week. And guess what? That rolls into Patriot week. So now the Bills have more added incentive to play the New England Patriots. Meanwhile, on the offensive side of the ball, the Patriots are getting worse. On the defensive side of the ball, I don't think it can get any worse. It literally looked like a train wreck just from the highlights. Like, it just, I don't know. So first, before we dive into what we're talking about, coaching change and everything else, what are your pros? Not pros. What are your takeaways from the game, Steve, from the Arizona Cardinals? What were your immediate takeaways? And let's jump into coaching change and everything else from that. Because give me a takeaway.
These are the notes I took immediately after the game. I was so freaking pissed off.
Right.
Defense, Giovanni Talai missed like 10 tackles alone. What the hell? He was horrible.
Yeah.
The whole game, he missed I don't know how many tackles. He was whiffing like he was playing wiffle ball.
Yeah.
Offense, too many penalties as usual. Hello, Vidarian Below. Why was he in the effing game after giving up 2 sacks or whatever and 2 penalties? Like, dude, get him out of there. Get rid of him. I don't care. You know something, Frank? Get an orange cone, put it on the end of the line. It'll probably do a better job. Maybe the defensive line will trip over it because he can't block. Period.
Yeah.
The freaking kicker missed another 50-yard field goal. I'm sorry. Maybe it's time for a new kicker. I'm done with him too. They ran it on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 and didn't get any points. That was infuriating. That was absolutely F off with those play calls. That's an Alex Van Pelt problem, not a Drake May problem, not a Stevenson problem. And I'm going to expound a little bit here on that. Every Monday on NBC Sports Boston, there's a show called The Breakdown with Ted Johnson.
Yep.
Have you seen that show?
Yeah.
He has the magnetic board there with the numbers and the play. One guy on the offensive line missed his assignment, caused another guy to block a guy he wasn't supposed to, and allowed the guy to come in free to hit Stevenson. So they have a miscommunication problem. They don't know who they're supposed to be blocking. That to me sounds like a coaching issue. And Mayo says it's an execution issue. It's a combination of both, right? But those kind of things I'm looking at, I'm like, why are you calling 3rd and 1 there? Why are you calling 3rd and 1? Why are you calling the same play on 4th and 1? Terrible, terrible play call. And I wrote, roll him out and design a play for him on 3rd and 1 and kick the field goal if it doesn't work. Don't do 2 runs in a row. Screw that. And the last thing I put, and you and I touched on this back and forth a little bit today, the coaching staff needs to be gone. I'm finally on board with you. I was willing to give Mayo a second shot, but after watching the game, after a bye week when they should be getting better, they got worse. It didn't look good, and they all need to go. Elliott Wolf, Matt Groh, all of them need to be gone. Alonzo Highsmith, I'd put him in charge. Get me a GM and get me Ben Johnson and stop screwing around and get with the rest of the NFL and get me an offensive guy and start getting some pieces. Look, it's a copycat league. Everybody copied the Patriots for 15 years or whatever, 20 years. But now, and a team that we used to laugh at, Detroit, is now laughing at us. And so why not utilize, copy them, and, okay, how did you guys build this team? Get that guy in here. Okay, we drafted offensive lineman. Okay, we got some wide receivers. It fits the system I want to run. Like, get with that program. Get off this, and I know we're going to talk more about it, so I'm going to bite my tongue until we start talking about the coaching part of it. But, I mean, listen, I almost did this today, but I'm going to save this to the end of the year because, you know what? We're back to this.
Wearing bags over our head, huh?
We are here again. This is us now.
Yeah.
So, I'm done, Frank. They need to wipe the slate clean and get right and get with the rest of the league, or they're gonna be in the basement again and again until they change. Here's
a lot of you said a lot of things. Let's first talk about the Patriots losing. Yeah, let's
put it mildly.
The Patriots lost. They're still stuck right now for the 3rd position in the NFL draft. I think I don't know if they're 100% on board with tanking. I think that honestly, if they even tried to win, if they were going to all get an extra $1 million if they won the game, they still would have lost because and I've said it before 2 weeks ago. You didn't see it, and I gave you points. I gave you reasons why I felt the way I felt. I said it 3 weeks ago. I said it 4 weeks ago. It starts with coaching. You know what I mean? It's coaching the line, coaching for discipline of players. I've been saying it for a long time. Some of these same players who are on defense, and some of them on offense, literally are not disciplined enough to make sure they're executing the plays properly. And I think it all starts with coaching, and it started in coaching in the summertime, and it is rolling right in through the season. Because I'm saying this again, because of execution. And when we see some of these players return, for the next year, we'll sit there and say, wow, last year he didn't play that well, but this year he's playing phenomenal, football. And I'm going to be stuck with this. So I'm going to leave that there with that point. I don't think Elliott Wolf should go. I think Elliott Wolf is doing an okay job. He's getting us some players. I still think we can't evaluate a lot of players right now until we get good coaching in here and we see that there's good coaching, and then the players can't respond or they don't respond on the field well enough. I'm not with you on that one saying get everybody out. I'm in upper management. I am with you on getting all the coaches out because I've been saying that. But the problem I'm having right now is I think Van Pelt may or may not be gone. I think let me say this. I think after last week's game, I think he's put the nail in the coffin for him to get fired. I think also after last week's game, I think Jared Mayo started the nail to be put in his coffin, if that makes sense to you. I don't think that the Patriots ownership was considering firing him until after last week's game, and the camera panned into the ownership box, and you see them talking about that, which leads me into coaching changes and things like that. So you and I was talking about this, and we had several conversations, text messages and stuff, and a couple of conversations and everything else like this. And I've been saying this for months. I've been saying it. I would love to have Brian Flores come back or Mike Vrabel come here to coach because they've had head coaching experience. They know what they're doing. They are proven assets. They also have proven when they have a coaching staff and a team, they can take the team from here to here. Everybody's right now, look at the Miami Dolphins. Everybody's saying how great they've played and continue to play with the combination of the players, the team that they've put together, and they started building right now with Tua. But what people aren't mentioning is that groundwork, that floor work was put together by Brian Flores. You know what I mean? He started the institution of the players that have started coming in. He laid the groundwork for the offense. He laid the groundwork for the defense. And of course, Brian Flores got fired, and McDonald got in there, and he's providing the success, even though they're not having the greatest success year this year because Tua got hurt. So there's that. You look at Brian Flores going to Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings have the third best defense in the league. Last year, it was the seventh best. The year before that, they were in the 20th. You know what I mean? So Brian Flores has left his mark there. You look at Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel he never had a great quarterback. Never. He had Ryan Tannehill, which was okay. He had a couple other QBs that were okay. And if you recall, like I'm sure you do, Steve, the Tennessee Titans literally were making noise in the NFL and made it to the playoffs several times. And hell, they almost beat the Patriots a couple times.
They beat the Patriots in the playoffs.
And I was going to say the last game that Tom Brady played, they beat the Patriots with Mike Vrabel as head coach. So those two guys, head coaching experience, also have been here in New England. They know everything. It's not a brand new thing. I'm for them. I don't mind the other guys. I see you have Ben Johnson here, and I'm not mad at Ben Johnson being picked. I'm not mad at there's a couple of other guys that people have picked too. I'm not mad at a couple other offensive coordinators coming in. I want Mike Vrabel. I want Brian Flores. That's who I am. And that's what I think that they should go with right now, why they have the opportunity. And 4 hours ago, Steve, the news dropped on WEEI. I think this is, let me go to this website. This is Nesson. 4 hours ago, Nesson dropped the article saying Mike Vrabel's very interested in coaching the New England Patriots.
Well, I heard that the Jets are interested in Mike Vrabel. I also heard the Bears are interested in Mike Vrabel. There's other teams that are interested in him.
Hold on.
If he's interested in coming here, though,
that's what I'm saying. That's what
I would take that. I would take it as a positive sign. Except I'm at the point now where I don't want any more expatriates. I don't want any more leftover Belichick, Vrabel, Brian Flores, McDaniels. I I want it clean. I want get somebody from the outside so you can get some ideas from some other teams in this league how this is working now, and stop the Patriot way doesn't work anymore. We're seeing it with Gerard Mayo. It doesn't work. Mike Vrabel, he's a good coach. I'm not going to deny that he is, and I'm not going to deny that Brian Flores is a good coach either. Those guys are good coaches, but I don't want them back here because I don't want the Patriots to fall into the same trap, the same nonsense that these guys are going to come here as expatriates and fix everything. This is like when the Bruins do this, and they were doing this before they started bringing in Jim Montgomery and stuff from outside. They would only hire the internal guys, and it would be Mike Milbury, Terry O'Reilly, Jerry Cheevers, Harry Sinden. The list goes on and on. They wouldn't get anybody from outside until they finally got. So
You wouldn't have if Mike Vrabel was to say. I'm sorry to interrupt you. So if Mike Vrabel said he's interested in coming here, so if he was saying to you tomorrow, and you were running the New England Patriots, you said I want to come here right now, and you already decided to fire Gerard Mayo and everything else, you would say no. That's what you're saying on the record.
I would interview him, but you can't hire him now because it's not the right time.
I know. I'm just saying.
Okay, so listen, Detroit there's a window during the playoffs where you can interview Ben Johnson. I would want to do that. I wouldn't say don't interview Mike Vrabel and don't bring him in and talk to him, but I want to talk to some other guys. Here's part of the problem too, and this has been talked about on sports radio endlessly. The Patriots didn't do any real search because they already had the guy picked, so they didn't have to interview 5 or 10 other guys for the job. I want them to go through that process this time and learn some lessons. And again, I have nothing against Gerard Mayo personally. Kraft promised him the job. It's fine. We didn't know it was going to be this bad when he got hired. I think that he's been dealt a raw deal. We know it. The GM says we're going to weaponize the offensive and gives them, tiddlywinks. I mean, that's not Gerard Mayo's fault. So I just want them to take their time this time around and get some more interviews with some different guys and get some different perspective from some. You can't listen to a report from, I don't know, Burt Breer or one of those guys saying that the Patriots were calling around talking about, Mayo and Drake May and this and that. It's like that work gets done in the off season, not during the season. You didn't do your due diligence. So now you're trying to make up for it. And I'm sorry. I want them to go through the process. If they hire Mike Vrabel, listen, we want them to win, right? So Mike Vrabel is a winner. He has won with talent. I mean, put it this way, he didn't have a great quarterback, but he had a great running game. They had good defense, and they had A.J. Brown until they traded him away. Okay. Once they traded him away, their offense took a big hit.
I categorically 100% disagree with your statement because the simple fact of this is this. There's not too many times that you're going to have the opportunity to have a stellar QB and proven winners for coaches literally sitting there waiting to get hired. It's just that those two things are as seldom as you seeing a rocket fly through the air. It just they very rare. Like you might get a good coach who's available, but then he's got to go draft a QB. You don't know what you're going to get, or you might get a QB and there isn't really a great coach available because all the great coaches who are available are usually hired. So I'm in that ballpark of saying Vrabel or Flores because they already have head coaching experience. I'm of the ilk of saying I don't want to bring in another offensive coordinator and make him head coach because I already seen how some of that happens, and we've seen it too when we've seen some coaches. I'm not going to even say any names who leave from here and they go to Oakland Raiders because here they're offensive coordinators, and they go out there and they have head coaching opportunity and they crash and burn. I don't want to. I'm with you on one thing. What they need to obviously sit there and say, hey, we need to interview everybody. They don't have to interview everybody right now like that depth because the two guys who they already have great relationships with, they already know how they coach. They've already been here in the New England area. They already know everything of what it's about, are sitting there right now and are available. I think, in my opinion, it makes the most sense to me. You fire Gerard Mayo, you bring in Flores or Vrabel, who are proven already head coaches. They already know who they would come in with coaching staff. You bring them in here, have them coach, and let's get it going. Instead of saying, okay, well, we got to wait a new year because now he's a new head coach again. You got to learn a whole new system again. No, I'm not. No, I don't want no more. I don't want any more person who was an offensive head coach and he gets his first time head coaching experience. Not me, not at all. I want a proven head coach. I want somebody who already knows who his staff is going to be. I want somebody to come in and say that you can't tell me right now that Vrabel's not going to come in here and he already going to know who his OC is going to be, his DC is going to be, his style of what they're going to play. They're going to already know 100% of what they're going to do from the minute he hits here. Instead of you got the Gerard Mayo crash and burn system when he's sitting there, well, a couple games we're trying to figure it out and everything else. We're not sure what we're going to do. We're not sure what kind of situation we're in. We're not even sure what situation of football we're in right now. We're still trying to figure it out. Who's that? What? This is the NFL, buddy. This is the league where we're in, and you win today. And because now the time frame is even shorter, you got a shorter time to prove yourself, or your ass is gone because there's 4 or 5 guys sitting right behind you. Why go through all that when you have 2 guys who've already proven themselves right there and were formerly of the New England Patriots? I wouldn't even, may sound crazy, I wouldn't even interview Ben Johnson. Why? I wouldn't even interview. You got Vrabel and Flores. Get those guys in here, offer them, both of them money, whoever takes what, and let's get it going. Let's go. That's how I would do it if I was sitting there. They're lucky I'm not him because they're lucky I'm not any of the crafts right now because that's exactly what I would do. The minute the season ended, I don't even think. Matter of fact, I'd be doing it in the halftime of the last game because they're gonna get blown out the next 2 games. I'd be doing it halftime. Let's get.
I understand where you're coming from. But do you remember why they traded Mike Vrabel?
Why they trade? What does trading Mike Vrabel got to do with anything?
Do you remember why they traded him though? I'm going to be the Swami Junior here for half a second. I can guarantee you one of the questions from the media, if he's hired as coach, will be, what does he think of the new tower they built there?
Yep.
Right. Remember the comments he made about the infrastructure there and all that crap.
Yeah.
And he was the player rep and whatnot. They traded him out. So the reporters aren't doing their due diligence if they don't ask him, all right, Mike, well, you had some comments and you got traded. You're okay with coming back with all the infrastructure and stuff? Because, it sounded like you had some sour grapes there.
Steve, he was in his early 30s when he said that. Mike Vrabel's in his 50s now.
I know.
That was something that young kids make, stupid comments, stuff that Jared Mayo's still making in his 50s right now, making stupid comments. We didn't even touch that, but we'll get that next time. Jared Mayo,
we have to touch on that real quick before we leave.
He makes so many stupid comments and so many stupid things like that. It's just like, okay, another reason why I don't want him to be here. Anyway, you can't hold somebody who said something in their 20s and 30s, something they said 15, 20 years ago, and I wouldn't even bring it up. So if they don't bring it up, I wouldn't be mad at them. I still want my number one guy and I've been saying this, is Brian Flores, because everywhere he goes, he makes a difference.
Didn't he have an issue with Tua? Isn't that why they got rid of him?
Yes, because he told everybody Tua sucked. He told Tua he sucked, to his face. So
is he going to do that to Drake May? Because if that happens, that's bad.
But Drake May doesn't suck. If you look at it, right, when Brian Flores went to Miami, his ownership wanted Tua. He didn't want Tua. You know who he wanted? He wanted the kid Jalen Hurts, who everybody ended up picking. He said Jalen Hurts or Tua. He wanted Jalen Hurts. And if they had Jalen Hurts, what do you think the Dolphins would be right now? You know what I mean? He wasn't
way better
wrong.
Than they are now.
Yeah, right. He wasn't wrong. But at the end of the day, he got blamed for that. He also got blamed for the Belichick stuff that was written behind it and everything else. So
the behind the scenes crap. Yeah.
Behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. So he gets fired. Next thing you know, he's out of the league for a little while. He goes to Pittsburgh and he's a consultant. He turns around their defense to what it is today. And then he gets an official job offer from the Minnesota Vikings as the defensive coordinator. The minute he lands, he wasn't even there literally 4 months. He turns their defense around from literally in the 20s to top 10. Now,
isn't part of the reason he was out of the league for a little bit though is because he sued the league?
I said that. I said that. I literally said that. I said that the Tom Brady stuff that was going on with the Dolphins and all that stuff, and because he was going to be the one blamed, he did that. So he did that. So what? What's that got to do with his coaching? Nothing. You bring him in, he changes everything automatically. And let's just put this on the record too. Whichever team he goes and head coaches, whether it's the Patriots, whether it's any of these teams, I guarantee you, and you mark this down today's date, he's gonna turn that franchise around. Remember this day and time. Anyway, you want to say something about this Jared Mayo's stupid comments, which I really don't want to talk about because it's been talked about to death. But go ahead.
I do have one thing I need to say about those comments because you know what he said when they asked him about going for it on 3rd and 1 and whatnot, blah blah. And he said, "You said it, I didn't." And then he tried to walk it back on Monday. So there needs, the old school toys we used to have that had the pull string on the back and it would say stuff.
Yeah.
They need to make a Gerard Mayo doll with a string on the back that says, "That's not what I meant." And then present that at the conference every Monday.
And that's also
that's what he sounds like.
He's not. That's also the other reason why he officially got the job, because the ownership loved it the way he talked too much, and it's going to also be his reason why he's going to get fired, because he talks too much and he says some stupid stuff. That's the stuff that they wanted. They were so bedridden and bitten by Bill Belichick. They were so bitten, and then once Belichick is gone, now they're sitting there saying, "Wow, we kind of did like that." Versus, you have one or the other. You got a head or a tails. You know what I mean? You got to do that. But let's talk. We got 2 minutes. Let's talk about Bill Belichick right now. Throw this out there. Belichick is hired by the University of North Carolina. I think I said this last week. I'm not sure if we were on the air at the time or it happened right after immediately. There are going to be a lot of kids, and maybe I said it to you directly. There are going to be a lot of kids who are going to say that they're interested in North Carolina. And from the time he got hired to now, I've been paying attention to it. And my friends and family in North Carolina told me that there 40 or 50 of the top kids in the nation literally have already taken trips or planning trips to the University of North Carolina. And some of these kids who are supposed to be signed to Auburn and Alabama and Georgia and all these SEC and SWAC teams and everything else, they all have interest into doing what? Go and play for Bill Belichick. Told you that was going to happen, Steve. It's happening. Go ahead, give me your last thought on this, Bill. See.
Well, because he knows that the people that are going there know that he knows NFL players. He's going to get them ready to play in the NFL. That's what they want.
You're right.
So why wouldn't you go there and learn from the best? He's going to teach you. One of the things that doesn't get talked about him as much as it should is how he teaches. All the old clips of him on the sideline, with him huddled up with the offensive line or whoever, do your job. Like all that stuff's going to play with the kids down there. And, for them, and I don't blame them, because what's their goal? Their goal is to get to the NFL and get some dough. I mean, and so look, it's good for the school. It's good for him because he's gonna get top players, and it's good all around. And some people around here are like, oh, I'm not gonna watch the North Carolina games because he's there, but we're all gonna watch, right? We're all gonna want to see, if he's successful or not there. There's a rooting interest here, whether he is or not. That's my thought.
Right. And lastly, I forgot to say this when we were talking about this and everything else. If Kyle Shanahan gets fired, would you rather see Kyle Shanahan come here?
I would. I know that he's a loser. He can't win the Super Bowl, but again, give him a good quarterback and give him some. And if they draft and get some weapons, if he gets fired, I'd take him in a second.
Yeah, I would too.
He's successful. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. I mean, just because they lost the Super Bowl doesn't mean he's a bad coach. I mean, the one playoff game they went to, the third string guy had an elbow injury, got hurt, and they had to grab some guy from the stands to play. I mean, listen, he's a good. This is the same thing I'm sure some people will say about Jim Montgomery. Good regular season coach, not a good playoff coach. But you know what? I would take him over Ben Johnson. If you're telling me the options are him or Ben Johnson, I would take him. Because to your point, he's got a proven track record of winning.
All right, so let's jump into right now and start talking about the Boston Bruins, because in the last week since we've been on the air, I did pay attention a lot to the Bruins in the last week, Steve, and because I thought about you, I was like, I got a game I got to get ready to go to and to a sports bar to get ready to watch and everything else. I've been thinking about you, Steve, because I've been listening to the guys talk, and the guys are talking about how the Boston Bruins are playing with heart. And they're not SAWFT. I was like, I was like, you know what? I can't wait to see it.
After they lost 5-1,
upside down.
That's what. Huh?
It's upside down.
Ah, jeez. Yeah, right here. See. So look, after that 5-1 loss, you could have said this, but in their last two games, you cannot. And so I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell, when I watch the hockey game, I can't tell if they're playing hard or soft because it's all new to me. I can't really tell. So since I can't tell me in your thoughts, what do you see different about the Boston Bruins, and especially their last two games that they won and everything else? Can you tell me what you're seeing that's making them look like that they are literally playing with heart, and they're not playing soft? I did see that they're scrappy to the puck. I did see that they're scrappy. I did see that they're hitting the boards a lot. You know what I mean? And they're hitting the other team, whoever they're playing, they're hitting them with force. That part I did like. Now it's such a violent sport. I love it. I'm starting to. I love the hitting. I love that. It's starting to make me say, okay, now I understand why people are loving it, because it's like football, except the difference is it's on ice. And you get to run into somebody.
Frank, it's too bad you weren't watching hockey in the 70s when they had no helmets on and they would fight every bench clearing brawls, 200 minutes penalties per team. I mean, it was awesome to watch back then. But to try and answer your question, I think that they're skating harder. They do look like they're more invested. They're not just loafing around skating. They just looked empty. They looked soulless before under Montgomery. And we're not going to rehash all that stuff. Going forward, I think that, they're playing hard for the coach. I think that some things are different. I think, they couldn't make a pass before. Their passing is crisper. The hitting is better. There's still lapses. There's still segments of the game where they look undermanned, right? Like, like they're outgunned.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just say that when they play good teams, it's like the Patriots playing Buffalo. They're going to get their doors blown off against the Carolinas, Dallas, whatever.
But they're still playing with effort when they're playing good teams, though, right?
It depends. It depends. I think early on in some of those games, they played well. And then once the floodgates started opening, you could just see them get kind of deflated. No pun intended. But, when they play in teams that are on their level, like Calgary and Vancouver and, some other teams that they've beat, they should beat those teams. They should beat teams that are, around their range. And they have to find a way to get some improvement against the better teams. It looks better. Let's just put it that way. I mean, they got spanked 5-1 in one of the games on the road trip. And then they bounced back and they beat Vancouver 5-1. Vancouver's been pretty good, but I think over the last 10 games, they've been lapsing. And Calgary's not really that great. But you're on the road. You fight back from a 3-1 deficit. So this is the issue I had last night. I'm watching the game. They come out in the second period. They give up 2 goals in the first 27 seconds. Then they score, and then they gave up another goal shortly after that. And so it's 3-1, and it's late. So I went to bed. I'm like, I got to go to bed. I can't watch them get killed 5-1. I'm not doing that. Mm-hmm. I wake up and find out they won in overtime. So listen, that's encouraging that, they fought back and they won. I mean, they didn't roll over and die. When the adversity came and they fell behind, they didn't cave. Mm-hmm. So that's good. That's a good sign, really. Again, not that they're completely over the hump or, they're on to the Stanley Cup. Let's go. The Bruins are back. No, but that's encouraging that, they're buying in and they're playing for each other. And so hopefully that's something they can build on going forward.
I think right now, Steve, that and I've listened to a lot of people talking sports talk radio, and of course I come up with my own conclusions right now. I think the Bruins are playing with this no nonsense type of play, no urgency, in a sense of we have nothing to lose. Our coaching and stuff like that's already been fired. We have nothing to lose. This season's already shot. So let's see how good we can get it in and see what we can do with what we got right now. They're not even on fumes. They've got a lot left in the tank. And I think that I think they're sitting there saying, let's figure out how we're going to put together something and shock the world. Honestly, I think this is a shock. Matter of fact, that's what I'm going to call this season. I'm going to call this Bruins Shock the World season because
Frank, they should have a lot left in the tank. The first 20 games, they didn't play.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And they didn't play inspired hockey either. You know what I mean?
This goes back to Don Sweeney's point, and we talked about it after they fired Montgomery. It's on the players now. And so the players that they weren't getting anything from, Elias Lindholm scores a goal last night. That's big. Geeky scored last night. He's been a bust for 20-something games. Trent Frederick scored some goals in the last week. I mean, they have to get elevated play from these guys. They had career years last year, some of them, mm-hmm. and they need that same effort, energy, and career type. They need to average. When they averaged last year, they scored 17 goals. They need to be on that pace of scoring. Trent Frederick was on pace for 8 goals. That's not going to cut it. So, these are guys that have to realize, too, that they are on the trading block. To me, it's the same thing Gerard Mayo said about, people asking him if he's on the hot seat or if they're being evaluated. The players have to understand they're being evaluated every day, every game, and they should feel like they could be trade bait. And I'll tell you, a team that is actually doing it is the Rangers. The GM over there is pissed off. They're not playing the way they should. They're not going to fire the coach, doesn't sound like. And he's trading players away, and the players are getting pissed. But you know what? If you're playing like crap, you're gone. And that's how it should work. As long as you can find a way to make a trading partner. Listen, I don't want to see Trent Frederick get traded. You know why? Because he fights. He's a good player. But, if he's on pace for 4 goals, I'm sorry, what am I paying you $2 or $3 million for? I got to get you out of here and get a draft pick. And he's a free agent at the end of the year too. So, listen, the players are on notice, and they should be. You got the coach fired. You might not have wanted to play for him anymore, and now, okay, it's on you. It's not on the coach anymore. They're not going to fire Joe Sacco, and they shouldn't.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that statement. But I will say this. Some people I heard when they called Sports Talk Radio, they were saying the threat of being fired and the threat of being traded is the motivational factor that the Bruins are dealing with right now this season. And then I heard a couple of other people comment and say they have nothing left to lose this year because they've already lost everything and they're playing inspired hockey. And a little bit I watched, because I didn't watch a lot. I don't, a little bit I watched, to me, they're hitting. They're passing. They're doing everything else right now. Sometimes they might get beat off to the puck and everything else because the guy's just faster than them, and the guy might be stronger than them. You know what I mean? It's like playing hockey, and you're 5'6" against a guy who's 5'8". The guy who's 5'8" is going to have longer strides than you. He's going to be stronger than you because he's bigger than you. And it looks like that to me in some instances, and that might be some reasons why they're losing, but they're winning every equal battle, every equal play from somebody who's just like them, if that makes sense to you. They're playing.
It makes sense to me, and let me expound on that a little bit because you're right on target. What was happening earlier in the year is those puck battles in the corners and stuff, they weren't winning any. They didn't look like they were interested in fighting for the puck earlier on in the year. And to your point now, they are getting in the corners and fighting for the pucks. It looks like they're actually trying to do something over there. Like they would just skate by and let the guy take the puck away. Like there was very little hitting. There was no forechecking. They couldn't get in on guys. Now you're seeing, you yourself, who doesn't watch a lot of hockey, can pinpoint that. That's a definite plus for them, and they need that in order to be successful.
Yeah, I see. That's Ryan. I'm with that. I think that's the type of inspired hockey that's going to want to draw free agents. It's going to want to draw other people to watch because they see that you're trying. That's the biggest thing here. And if you're trying and people want to come in where you're trying versus what the path they were on, I think we're in for a difference. You got a lot. You want a last word on the Bruins before we jump to the Celtics?
Well, listen, I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. The Bruins should never not make the playoffs. They should make the playoffs with the team they have, even though they're a little bit undermanned in the scoring department. It doesn't mean you have to be undermanned in the effort department. And so earlier on in the year, there was no effort, and it's a complete 180. And you're definitely seeing that it can pay off. Look, there's teams they should beat. There's teams that they're not going to beat. The good teams, when they play Edmonton Saturday night, watch the difference. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost 5-1 or 7-2 or something like that. Edmonton's, very good, but if they do, I'm hoping they don't get killed. I'm not, people are like, oh, you're the worst Bruins fan. You hate the Bruins. Listen, I don't want them to get killed. It's frustrating when they do. That's all. You know what I mean? I want them to win the game.
If you text me and remind me, I probably will watch it because I want to start to figure this out. Let's talk about.
I think it's on late though. I think it's on at like 9:00.
That's your late. That's not my late. But we'll talk about that. I want to talk about the Celtics real fast because the Celtics have been playing on fire. They obviously beat Detroit. They beat Washington. And between the last time we were on the air and this time we're on the air, they're talking about in the NBA. People aren't that much interested in the Celtics because they're dominating teams. But the biggest talk in the last 7 days has been the Cup play and the Cup tournament because the Milwaukee Bucks won the Cup tournament and the Cup play, and Milwaukee is, obviously running around, very happy they did that. They did not celebrate with champagne like you normally would after you win something, which I thought was really great for them because it's in season. You don't want to get drunk. And I thought it was a great stand for them to do that. The reason why I bring up the Milwaukee Bucks in the Cup tournament is simple because now people are expecting the Milwaukee Bucks to be one of those big thorns in the Celtics side because people are saying that they're putting their team is coming together. Their team is starting to play better basketball. Their team is starting to shoot better. The team, I mean, I just heard all these lists and everything else. And this is when I get frustrated because I sit there and say, what game are you guys watching? You know, like I mean, I know I'm watching it and I see certain things, but you know, what people, I said this last week and I said this week before. The Celtics are so good when they're losing, it's because they're bored. It's because they're bored. That's how good they are. They are almost. This is what's crazy, and people are shocking like this, and they're not even getting the national attention like this when Golden State was winning like this. They're not getting that same type of attention, and I promise you, it has a lot possibly to do because they're not as as fluffy and as exciting and as what I mean as the Golden State was, and what I mean with all that extra stuff. They're not that. The Celtics are boring, hardworking. They come from this type of city and everything. You know what I mean? Different kind of
Blue
fan
collar.
base. Perfect word, blue collar. The Celtics are a blue collar team when Golden State was the warm, fuzzy, and bougie team. You know what I mean? They're not getting the same type of attention. But the Celtics are hand and foot the best team in the league when they're playing their perfect basketball. So the coach, listen, Joe Mazzulla, I say this too for you guys at home right now. He must have went to a coaching clinic because he's coaching way better than he coached a year ago, and he's coaching almost like a different galaxy better than what he was when he got thrown into the sauce. He's the substitutions are better, the coaching and situations are a whole lot better, and the execution of the players are a lot better. And I'm not even talking about Peyton Pritchard coming from being a bum to me. When his first year he started playing, I thought he was a bum. I'm not gonna lie. I thought he was scrappy. I loved the way he shot here and there. But he's playing much better when it comes to defense and lights out when it comes to shooting. He's the best three-point shooter in the league right now, and he himself is carrying the Celtics. So I just want to throw it out there and saying that's my thought process and the Celtics in the last 7 days. I've seen some things, and it's scary in one sense because I don't want them to lose too much more because obviously it's playoff positioning. You know what I mean? But it doesn't really matter for them. I think they're playing bored basketball, honestly. That you know what I mean? And every time they go to somebody's house, they're getting their best. You know what I mean? Everybody's best is coming because it's like the NBA champs are coming to town. We want to kick their behind, but they're bored. You want to throw in some thoughts real quick, fast on that, Steve?
Well, I'll expound on your that they're bored, and I think that listening to some of the comments I heard on sports radio with the ratings being down, I think people are bored because of the threes.
Yeah.
So if the players are getting bored, you can't get upset that the fans are getting bored, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. But that goes back to what we were saying last week about the game, the way of the game has changed. You know what I mean? Remember we said that?
I know, but I think what I'm trying to say is the game has changed so that it's just all threes and whatever. And, the players are bored because they feel like the Celtics are so good that they probably feel like they're toying around with everybody. But if you're a fan and you're watching that and you're bored, then you really can't get upset at the players for being bored. Like as a Celtics fan, I can't get upset at them being bored if I'm bored watching them, and I'm not bored watching them because I love the way they do the spacing. Again, you know me, I hate all the threes. I hate 63s in a game. I can't stand it. But I love the way that they pass the ball around and look for the open guy and their spacing and whatnot. And it leads to threes, and that's just the way it is. And so, listen, you got to pray that they go in. My fear is the same fear I'm going to have until they, hopefully win it again. But, to your point, the whole league is like that. Everybody's shooting 40 or 53s in a game. There's talk about them changing the corner three and getting rid of it and making the arc go towards the line and moving it back a few feet and all this other nonsense. And I say, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. But, as far as the Celtics specifically themselves, I agree with you. I think that Joe Mazzulla has learned a lot since his first year. I mean, the first year we were going to kill him because he wasn't making the right adjustments and he wasn't doing the things I'll say you in particular, that you could see that was like, oh, I don't like these substitutions. I don't like this. And but now I think, and I also think that last year having Sam Cassell and Charles Lee on the staff, I think
Yeah.
has helped make him better.
Yeah.
And I think he's continued to evolve and learn and get better. And I loved his comments before the season started about, like, we're not taking time off. We're focused. We're moving on now. We're either going to eat or be eaten, like that kind of, like, that. I'm paraphrasing, but you know what I mean? His attitude towards whether they, how they're going to repeat and whatnot. I loved all of it. And so, he's keeping his foot on the gas, which is what they need, because look, the players are getting bored or whatever, but he still has to keep everybody in check, and I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, I think he's doing an excellent job. I'll say excellent because his substitution patterns are even giving guys some time during the season who normally NBA teams have a 7-8 man rotation. The Celtics have a 10 man rotation every game. He's playing guys who normally, if they were on other teams, wouldn't even get a chance to play. So by the time the playoffs roll around, these guys are going to have game experience. They're not going to be as nervous coming in if they even would come in. They probably won't even come in. If they don't come in during the regular season, they definitely won't come in the playoffs. But he's making sure he has a 9-man rotation, possibly 10-man rotation. So by the time the playoffs roll around, if somebody gets injured or something happens, nobody's going to be missing a beat. Remember I used to say, I said it last year before last, the substitution patterns was horrible, and he wasn't putting in people in. They have the same team, and they had the deepest bench last year and the year before, and last year they started substituting more, and this year they're substituting more than anybody in the league, and everybody's getting some play. I'm absolutely loving it, and they also are giving the top-heavy guys some more time to last, so they won't be burnt out by the time the playoffs are around. I'm loving this. Absolutely loving it. But
I am too. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I mean, I love that they kept Neemias Queta.
Yes.
I like him. He's a talented kid.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to score 20 points and 12 rebounds in a game, but he can give you 10 and 5 or 6 and fill in and play some defense. I mean, the worst thing is when they rely too much on the starters and they play 40 minutes a game, and these guys are sitting on the bench getting 2 minutes, and you're burning your starters into the ground. Those days are done, and I'm glad.
Yeah, they are. And not to mention, the game has changed too, so people are shooting more threes, so it's not so much banging down low because it's an easier game. It's easier obviously on physicality, things like that, because everybody's just shooting. You know what I mean? All you're doing is trying to box out. It's different when guys are attacking the basket, because then you can get hit in the eye with an elbow and all kinds of different things. It's different. It's different style, and you're giving guys more opportunity. So I'm loving it. Steve, I want to move on. Okay, we've got obviously the picks. We got to talk to the picks. We got to talk about the poll questions. The floor is yours, Steve. I'm up here burping. Excuse me.
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me find the poll questions, because that's next.
All right. So
we only had one. What's that? Go ahead.
I was gonna say you had a poll. I want this poll to last longer. I think you should keep this one poll question up because I love it so much. I think you should put it up until the end of next week after they play the Bills, because I'm willing to think that the momentum of the argumentative people are going to be even more furious come Monday morning, and that is obviously the poll question. When you got who would you want to succeed? Should Jared Mayo stay, and if he leaves, who would you want to succeed him? I think you should keep that poll question up, in my opinion. It's up to you what you want to do.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. I mean, look, I only put it up today, so it really wasn't enough time for people to get involved. But after the Bills game, if they get blown out 40-7, I'll repost it if I have to, and I probably will, because it's going to be fresh in everybody's mind whether he should stay or not, depending upon what happens when they play. So right now, the voting is 33% Mike Vrabel, 33% Ben Johnson, and 33% other. So the options are Mike Vrabel, Brian Flores, Ben Johnson, and other. And I didn't put too many more names because it gets too convoluted when you do that. If people want other, if people want to type in the chat and make a suggestion for who they want to see, whether it's Eric Bieniemy or whoever, that's what they should do. And so I agree with you with keeping that question up for another week. And I'm going to repost it after the Bills game. They're going to get killed.
All right, so come on, let's go with the predictions. Give me the predictions.
Predictions. I only had one, and I said that it was a long-range prediction, but the Bruins would make a trade in the next 10 games.
Yeah.
So that's still kind of a long-range deal. I'm gonna hold that thought still until after Christmas, and then we'll see.
Okay. You know what? I'm looking at this stuff that I said, and the crazy thing is, I have it up here. Jimmy Butler gets traded from Miami, and LeBron gets traded to the Lakers. Now, mind you, at the time I said this, I had no idea. And in the last 6 days, this obviously hasn't happened. But in the last 6, 7 days, both of those names are in heavy rotation of being traded. So I want to say half right, half wrong. Obviously, no, wrong, but not completely wrong yet.
But it's a long range prediction too, because the trade deadline isn't even here yet. It's just the interest is getting sparked for those guys, and people are talking about it. That's the gist.
Right.
That's how I took it.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. And Robert Williams, they were trying to put together a Robert Williams trade, and last week it fell through, which I almost was right there too. But I think that fell through because Robert Williams again is not healthy. Glad he's not healthy in that response.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm glad he would. I was mad at the time when they traded him. Now I'm like, you know what? That was a good move, Brad Stevens. And something going on with the Baltimore Ravens. I think I had the wrong team. You know what I mean?
I don't watch the Hard Knocks thing. So when you were saying it, I was like, wow, I didn't hear anything about Baltimore, but I didn't say anything because I didn't know any better.
Yeah. But I had the wrong team. It's more so was the Philadelphia Eagles. I felt there was somebody who was going to be, but it was the Eagles. I had the wrong team. And then
listen, they've won like 8 in a row, the Eagles. So whatever turmoil they have, they're fighting through it. Yeah, they're going to continue to win. So
they're good shape. And I did hit there would be a blockbuster trade. So do I get a ding ding?
Baseball, ding? Yeah, you did. I put the ding 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 in there. You got it. Yeah, baseball, one more big blockbuster move. The Yankees traded for Cody Bellinger. That is a blockbuster move because they're going to put him in the outfield and center field now. Yeah. And their lineup is stacked now. They lost Juan Soto, but you got Bellinger, you got Stanton when he's healthy, you got Judge, and they added a pitcher too. So they added a frontline starting pitcher to go with Garrett Cole. So they got 2 aces, kind of, sort of. They have a 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation. They have bullpen and they have hitting now. And so they're the front runners to win the division again. That trade is a huge trade for them. And that's the kind of trade the Red Sox should have made. They need a second base. They need a center fielder. They need a second baseman. They should have pulled the trigger on a deal like that. But, we're not going to get into that again because they suck.
Yeah. Not to mention you're running over my time.
Sorry.
Okay, so here's my thing with the Yankees. I'll leave it at this. I think the Yankees got 4 bats. They got 3 pitchers. I think they're going to be phenomenal. I think they are the odds-on favorite to get to the World Series. And who in the world is going to be surprised? If the Yankees and the Dodgers get into? I know I'm not. I'm not going to be surprised if they get there. But anyway, we talked about that. Steve, give me your predictions for the next. You got any more predictions? You got some predictions in your?
I don't have anything yet.
All right. Okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you two good predictions real fast. I think there's going to be a whole lot of people talking about Kyle Shanahan getting fired when I think that's going to turn to a fever pitch at the end of this week. I don't even know who they're playing. I don't, but I did watch San Francisco play this past week. They're playing worse. Like they're playing a lot worse than they played when they played the Patriots. I couldn't believe it was the same team. So I'm saying, wow. When they lose,
but they got injuries. The issue for them is no McCaffrey again. No, it's not Deebo Samuel. Who's the other guy? The Ayuk. Right. Yep. That's 2 big losses on your offense. I don't know what their offensive line looks like. And you have Kittle, and you have Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. And I don't know, they're on their 3rd running back or whatever. So look, the injuries are catching up with them.
And they're blaming the coach.
And you know what? They're blaming the coach, but you know what? I think the injuries are part of it. Their defense, they had a guy walk off the team and refuse to play last week.
And that's what that's the point I was gonna make. I think they're falling apart. I think the team is not sticking together. I think out of my prediction this week is that in San Francisco is going to get worse. If the Ravens lose this week, it's going to get worse for them. It's going to be a fever pitch for them. And my only other pitch when it comes to the NFL is I had one. If the Eagles end up losing, I think people are going to probably lose their mind. And the Detroit Lions. But other than that, I don't really have no major move because it's the holidays. I think because of the way the football schedule is over the next 2 weeks, with obviously some games on Christmas Day, I think we're going to see some losses that we wouldn't normally see. You know what I mean? From certain teams because the scheduling is going to be off, and I think it's going to affect a lot of people. But that's I don't have any pick. But we got the football picks. I should have had 12 because I forgot to pick 2 games. 2 games. I should have
Yep.
had 12 right. So I let that one slide. And my teams who I had picked to won anyway, so I should have had 12, but I'm gonna let that slide. But you had 12 right and 3 wrong. I should have had 12 right and 2 wrong. What game am I off? This looks like an off one.
There was the Falcons game you didn't pick, the Vikings, and there was another one, I forget who. Give me a
I'm
second.
missing 3 games. I'm missing 3 games.
Give me a second because I think I got it down here somewhere. Who are the ones
It's
I had? Oh crap.
it's
Oh,
okay.
well, whatever. I will say this then. Let me try to do a half. It's not going to. No, I don't know. I say the Red Sox get Bregman somehow. Merry Christmas to the Red Sox fans. How about that?
Yeah, and I say they don't.
All right. Well, hey, you're asking me to predict something that's off the wall or something that's probably not likely to happen. And that's probably it. That's probably the one.
But you went from not likely to happen to definitely not happening. Like that's not happening. You went from
Listen, Frank, Christmas is next week. Everybody wants a Christmas present. The Red Sox want a Christmas. Fans want a present, and so hopefully they can get Bregman in their stocking this year, and we'll see what happens.
All right. So before we leave, I want to say this: because of the holidays coming up, and because next week actually is going to be Christmas on this day, I think we should come on the day after on Thursday. So we can't say. Obviously, please follow us on social media. We're going to be posting when we're going to be in the air. Steve and I have to definitely talk about this and figure out when we're going to be on. And I think it's the 26th. I think we should be on at the same. Steve, you have any problems with us being on the 26th around this time?
No, sir.
Yeah, I don't think I don't have a problem with it. I think we should talk about being on the air on Thursday the 26th. Because nobody's going to be really on social media like that at the end of the day when we're normally on. So you can
listen, it's Christmas, Frank. Everybody deserves a day off, even us.
Yeah. So you can expect to see us on 8:00 on Thursday the 26th, and we'll be back and talk about everything that we normally talk about, especially our picks. Steve and I are going to post and talk about our picks. We're going to post and talk about the show and things like that. And guys, at home, I did the website. I'm trying to get it on my server, so we should have our website up by the time the new year turns around. I obviously got to make a couple more changes, so I wanted to say that on the air. And you guys are watching, obviously, Boston Straight Shooters. I'm Frank. That's Steve. We talk about Boston sports. We talk about the Celtics, the Bruins, the Red Sox, and the New England Patriots. And Steve, bring us home.
All right, everybody. Thank you again for your support. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for voting in the polls. Thanks for all the commentary. Don't forget we're on YouTube too. And I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope everybody has a great day.
Yes, definitely Merry Christmas. Yeah,
Merry Christmas, Frank.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too. And Steve, you better not send me any coal. I don't want no more coal. I'm getting a whole bunch of coal for Christmas. I don't want no more. I'm good.
Listen, the sheriff is coming to send you some coal. I'm just kidding, Frank.
The sheriff already lives here and is giving me some coal. I already got that. She already has my stocking full. All
right, well, that's it, everybody. Just want to say thank you again. Have a good week, and we'll see you later.
Thanks.